I've now been a raw vegan for like 8.5 years. 7.5 of those have been 80-10-10, and I often get asked how I managed to do that, how I managed to stick to it. And I can't say it's because I have crazy willpower or anything. It's really because I found easy and satisfying alternatives to my old cooked food favorites. I really don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. For me, education was really the first step in inspiring me to change over to a healthier diet. What made it stick though was finding all these satisfying foods. Never feeling mentally or physically deprived has been 100% the key to the longevity on this diet for me. It's like when you first find out about all the harmful ingredients in makeup and cleaning products and stuff like that. We're so fortunate nowadays that there are so many natural alternatives that work just as well, if not better. Definitely better in the sense that there aren't any long-term repercussions. But it's kind of a no-brainer to me. It's like, why wouldn't you make the change? Or for instance, when you first learn about the environmental repercussions of plastic bags, when you realize it's just as easy to use cloth or biodegradable ones, you're not really giving up anything. Why wouldn't you make the switch? It's the same with food, right? The standard American diet is just saturated in toxins. Meanwhile, there's all this amazing fresh food to be had that in switching to would only make you feel better. As always with my videos, my aim is to equip you with the same knowledge that I've come to learn so that you may feel a little bit more empowered making decisions in your own life. Firstly, I'll mention that this list is mainly just whole food focused. So it's about enjoying mono meals and little to no prep foods. But if you're interested in a little bit more fun in the kitchen, then you can check out my recipe books. I have 4 of them featuring over 100 low-fat raw vegan dishes. They don't include any salt, oil, agave, nutritional yeast, namashoyu, or any of those other problematic gourmet, quote-unquote, raw food ingredients. These were all designed to satisfy cooked food cravings and to be supportive in the transition to a simpler diet. Here we're going to go through a list of fruits, veggies, nuts, and seeds that do a really good job of substituting for junkier foods. These are great to keep in mind if you want to go fully raw or if you just want to find healthier alternatives to your more processed snacks and try and incorporate a higher percentage of fresh food in your diet. It's a good way to shed excess pounds and lower your cholesterol, reduce your risk of diabetes, and all that good stuff. These aren't going to be exact replacements of their cooked counterparts, but some do come pretty close, and they'll definitely all call to mind fond memories of past cooked food experiences. As discussed in my How to Stay Satisfied as a Raw Vegan video, there are a number of factors that contribute to feeling satisfied. Likewise, there are 3 main qualities that will determine if one food will do for replacing another. Is the taste similar? Is the texture similar? Is the mental and/or physical ritual around the food similar? In this list, some pairings will share all 3, taste, texture, and ritual, making that raw alternative an easy substitute. Other pairings in this list share just 1 or 2 of these qualities, making them more so references to old favorites. So I'm going to share the cooked food first, and then the raw alternative, and lastly I'll explain why it makes for a good replacement. Alright, let's get started. If you like ice cream, instead have blended up frozen bananas. It's cold and creamy. Instead of having hard-boiled egg yolk, have an avocado. It can have the same cakey texture and blandness that pairs well with salt. Swap egg whites for young coconut meat. Both are kind of slimy, jelly, and salty. Trade candy for berries, cherries, grapes, or grape tomatoes. Here you're getting the same colorful visual and the ease of snacking by the handful. Instead of juicy fruit gum, go for jackfruit. This is where the developers got the flavor inspiration. Cheese can be swapped for avocado or heart of palm. The avocado has a creamy, fatty saltiness, and if you add citrus and salt, it obviously takes it to the next level. And the heart of palm just has a naturally cheesy flavor. Popcorn can be substituted for regular raw sweet corn. It's equally as fun to eat and also has a crunchy texture and sweet starchiness. If you find yourself drawn to corn chips or tacos, I'd recommend filling up on some fresh sweet corn. The taste and texture may be just as satisfying. Instead of jelly donuts, consider fresh or dried figs. Ripe, fresh figs can have the same jammy, gooey goodness and can have a naturally doughy flesh and equally as satisfying squishiness. Dried white figs like Calamirna in particular remind me of classic jelly-filled donuts. They have that jamminess inside and sometimes even a powdery outside from all their sugars. Dried purple figs like the Black Mission remind me of Polish donuts with a similar flavor to their plum filling. As an alternative to Gatorade, try coconut water or celery juice. It offers the same in the way of hydration, sugars, and salts. If you like granola, try white sun-dried mulberries. They offer a similar look, crunch, and sweetness. Baked sweet potato or sweet potato pie can be swapped for egg fruit. These are akin all around in flavor and texture. If you like marshmallows, you may like star apples as well. These have a sweet vanilla-ness that comes in kind of a gooey, doughy fruit. If you like marinara sauce and all that carries marinara sauce, like pizza, pasta, etc., try incorporating some more grape, cherry, and dry farm tomatoes, like the early girl variety. These little tomatoes have a naturally rich flavor, somehow both savory and sweet. Dry farm tomatoes have a thick, pasty skin and are an absolute flavor bomb inside. Jell-O can be substituted for soft persimmon. Persimmons, especially the high chia variety, are like natural Jell-O. Let them go really ripe to the point where they feel like a water balloon. Then dig into your dessert. Try swapping milk for a nut or seed milk or banana milk. Almonds, cashews, hemp seeds, pumpkin seeds, etc. can be soaked, blended with water, maybe even a little sweetener like a date, and then strained to provide a creamy and hydrating beverage. To better mimic milk, one tip is to let it cool down in the fridge first. Frozen bananas blended with a good amount of water will also offer a milk alternative. Again, that they are frozen makes the drink cold and is therefore an experience that is much more like drinking milk. Of course, you can also add raw cacao powder to both these and make chocolate milk. Are you fond of the traditional grape flavor? Most of us know it as tasting like purple. Well, try some Concord grapes. These natural flavor bombs are where the well-known grape drink and grape jelly flavor is derived from. Do you like to munch on crackers? Instead, you can try apple slices, dehydrated apple chips, celery sticks, or freeze-dried fruits. Any of these will offer the same crunchy texture that you're after. Celery will even provide that hit of saltiness. Fruit roll-ups and other gummy or chewy candy can be traded in for dried fruit or fruit leather. Fruit leather is made by blending up one or more fruits, spreading it out on a Teflon sheet, and then dehydrating it. Speaking of dried fruits, if you like pancakes, go ahead and try some partially dehydrated banana. These need to be thick slices, maybe even cut just once down the middle. The key is not to dehydrate them all the way, we don't want them to turn into chips, but rather stay gooey. Dig into them, warm off the dehydrator tray, maybe even paired with some fresh blueberries, and bam, there's your breakfast that you'd think you'd need to feel guilty about. Chocolate candy can be easily interchanged with raw cacao nibs, raw carob powder, or raw cacao paste. The nibs offer a crunch just like a chocolate chip might. The powder offers an easy topping to sprinkle or blend into smoothies or desserts. The paste is just a bean that's been pressed into a form more akin to how we're used to consuming chocolate. I've tried one by Organic Traditions and know that Sun Food Superfoods makes it as well. Maybe sour candy is your thing. Have you ever tried tamarind? It's a naturally sour pod-like fruit that has a gooey stickiness much like traditional gummy candies. Soursop is another naturally sour fruit. This one more creamy and juicy. You may also be into slightly younger passion fruit. It has a bright and sour flavor when you don't let it get too ripe. Maybe popsicles are more up your alley. Frozen fruit could be a very satisfying raw alternative for you. Simple frozen berries or chunks of mango, for example, in the freezer can be a nice treat on a hot day. You can also blend up one or more fruits together, pour them into a mold, and freeze them to make fruit pops. Melons I find to be especially refreshing. If you enjoy noodles, I'd recommend trying some zucchini and cucumber. Using a spiralizer, julienne slicer, or vegetable peeler, you can turn zucchini into fettuccine, spaghetti, lasagna, or angel hair. You can do the same with cucumber and make more of an Asian glass noodle. Kelp noodles offer a similar experience. If you find yourself snacking on candy, maybe freeze-dried berries or fruit pieces would be a nice treat. They are crunchy, colorful, and offer an intense flavor. Are you a fan of custards, key lime pie, meringue, or cream pie? I'd recommend seeing if you can get your hands on some atamoya, cherimoya, rollinia, or white sapote. These are all creamy, hydrating, sweet treats that I enjoy best when chilled. Rollinia in particular is seriously nature's lemon meringue pie. Seafood can always be swapped for young, soft coconut meat. The coconut has just the right slimy texture and saltiness to mimic various seafoods. Bonus points if you remember a video I did way back for a vegan sashimi recipe. Do you like black licorice? Have you ever tried fresh fennel or fennel seeds? This plant tastes just like what we've all come to know as black licorice. If you like hard candies like Jolly Ranchers, Lifesavers, and Suckers, I'd recommend trying a few different tropical fruits. All ripe, of course: starfruit, passion fruit, mangosteen, dragon fruit, and cactus pear are ones in particular that remind me of the iconic light and bright hard candy flavors. Granny Smith apples would be another one to include if you enjoy that iconic green apple flavor. On the topic of tropical fruit, if you're a fan of maple syrup or brown sugar, the Chico Sapodilla is a must-try. Chicos have been appropriately named brown sugar pear, as they have a remarkably sugary, syrupy taste and texture. They are tropical, but I have seen them before on the mainland USA and Canada in Asian markets. Someone who enjoys fish for its texture may also enjoy heart of palm. This plant has an interesting flakiness that at times has reminded me of fish flesh. If you're a fan of eggs in whatever form, you may also like raw cauliflower. The flavor can sometimes resemble that simple egg flavor. Pumpkin pie used to be one of my favorite desserts. Now I just go for meme sapote. The flesh in all qualities is almost a replica of pumpkin pie filling. If chips are more your thing, perhaps some veggies will be able to provide a satisfying alternative. What most of us are after when we're snacking on chips is crunchiness and/or saltiness. Try okra, celery sticks, cabbage leaves, or romaine hearts. These all provide both. A bag of power greens won't offer the same crunch, but it is a favorite of mine for its naturally salty flavor. Were fig Newtons ever something you enjoyed? Now you can munch on some dried black mission figs instead. They are the same gooey snack with the fig flavor you know and love. Perhaps you also grew up with Freezies or Otter Pops like I did. Now sometimes when I have white peaches or white nectarines, I'm reminded of them. In particular, the white and peach colored Freezies. I believe they're labeled as cream soda or peach. Anyway, I find these whole foods to have the same clean, intense, sugary flavor. Be honest, are you someone who can plow through a bag of pistachios, peanuts, or sunflower seeds? It's easy to do because they're typically salted, but this can be a really fatty, gut-heavy mistake. One alternative is to simply have plain raw nuts and seeds. You can even soak them first and then dehydrate them. This makes them more digestible and gives them a fantastic crunch. A second alternative is to consider that what you're enjoying really is the process of squirreling away at those nuts, cracking them open and such. A perfect substitute for this would be a bowl of rambutan, lychee, or longan. With a shell and a seed, they require similar work, but are much less fatty and calorically dense, plus they're actually hydrating, not dehydrating. If you're a jam fan, especially a strawberry jam fan, I guarantee you'll like fresh figs. These guys are little natural jam sacks. Speaking of condiments, let's toss out that tub of butter in your fridge. There is no need for that when there are avocados around. Equally as creamy, you can spread avo anywhere you would of butter. Who doesn't like bread? Of course, it's fluffy and makes for a great carrier of other foods. I came across the granadilla when in Costa Rica, and I found it to have the sponginess similar to that of a baguette. I use zucchini regularly, and I find it often reminding me of bread. I don't buy the hardest ones, but rather go for the drier, wrinklier zucchinis. The best is when there is a little give in squeezing them. This spongy feeling can mean that they'll be pretty doughy inside. And just like bread, the plain flavor makes it a perfect carrier of other toppings. On the subject of grains, did anyone like cereal as much as I did? To satisfy this craving, freeze-dried fruit, especially strawberries, can do the trick. It really reminds me of eating the fruit or marshmallows that came in boxed cereals. Corn is also one for cereal lovers. As many breakfast cereals are made of corn anyway, most of us have already developed an affinity for this flavor. Fresh, sweet corn on the cob is especially perfect because it offers that sugary flavor of cereal with both the unique cereal textures. We get the crunchiness of a dry flake in the bite of a kernel, which is then followed by the milkiness of the corn juice. And a pro tip, if that corn was chilled in the fridge, it will be that much closer to a cereal bowl with cold milk experience. Perhaps you're someone who used to really enjoy your bag of crunchies. By crunchies, I'm referring to anything like pretzels, Doritos, Fritos, Cheetos, and things like that. If it was really the bite you were after, then there's a way you can satisfy this with simple plant foods. Snap peas, okra, sliced cucumber, cauliflower pieces, etc. These are all great crunchy finger foods. What I like to do sometimes is pick a number of these, toss them into a baggie, maybe add in some baby carrots, celery sticks, and cherry tomatoes, and there's a perfect snack pack. It has the texture and the variety you would get in a Chex Mix or other party mix. Toffee, caramel, butterscotch, fudge, honey, and maple syrup are all hard to say no to, but not so great for our health. The good news is we don't have to give up any of these flavors when we have dates. With their many varieties and different stages of ripeness, dates can share the taste and texture of all the aforementioned. You can even try putting them in the freezer where they can get hard and sticky like a toffee. And I find frozen mejoles in particular to taste somewhat like chocolate. It's a good reminder that our cravings, they're not anything to be ashamed of. In fact, we may be actually picking up on something our body needs. For instance, we may crave salty chips because our body is in search of minerals. Now with some healthy options, we can sate these cravings on a physical and a mental level without the hangover of physical toxicity or mental guilt. If right now you're someone who's finding yourself overeating on unhealthy foods, something that I did, I have lots of experience in, I want you to know that it's natural. These junk foods, their stimulating flavor draws us in. And because of their lack of nutrients, we keep on eating because we're in search of nutrients. We're in search of that satisfaction, but it never comes. Processed food is so physiologically addicting. But if we can replace it with non-addictive fresh food, then that habit of overeating, of binge eating, of eating things that you know that you really don't want to, that habit is just naturally gonna fall away. So the next time you have a craving, try out some of these and let me know. What do you think of this list? Are there any you agree with? Are there any I missed? Have you ever had that experience where you bite into a fruit, vegetable, nut, or seed and we're like, whoa, that totally reminds me of such and such? For example, my friend just shared with me that she really likes dehydrated dragon fruit because in the way that it's crunchy, it really reminds her of Rice Krispie squares. So if you have one like this, let me know in the comments below, and I love you so much. I'll see you next video. Bye.